My message to Kashmiris, be they Sikh, Pandits, or from any other community, is this: if it's happened to us, it could happen to you. I urge people to join us to demand justice because if we don't stand together, this storm will hit every one of us.
Muzzammil Ayyub joins me now live from London to discuss Kashmir. He is the president of the World Kashmir Freedom Movement. Good to have you on the show. Without a doubt, the killings have created an atmosphere of fear, not only amongst the residents, but also non-locals alike. Why are the minorities in Kashmir being targeted again now?
I wouldn't say that they're specifically being targeted. I would say that a lot of the times what we've seen historically, as well as, and I don't mean historically that we can go so far back as 1947, but even in recent history, we've seen so many different types of fake encounters, what we call staged encounters, where you have the Indian forces, the occupational forces claim a particular narrative, which ends up being false. Just last year, we've had cases where 2 or 3 young boys, in fact, some even from my hometown, that were murdered in a different part of Kashmir, accused of being militants, and it turns out that they were just laborers. So we don't necessarily believe what the narrative is of the Indian government and their machinery. We wouldn't even go so far as to say that their probes would turn out any results in our favor. I think that is something that the international community, maybe the United Nations and others, need to investigate further. The minorities inside Kashmir have lived side by side with the majority for eons. The United Nations at one point in time even called Kashmir the epitome of communal harmony. So I wouldn't put much stock into what the Indian government says.
Okay, you may not believe the narrative coming out of India, but when you look at their Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, revoked Article 370 of the Constitution, which basically is essentially protected Kashmir's status or ensured the autonomy. It said it would do so to promote stability. Do you think we've reached that?
I think the writing is on the wall. We've seen since August 5th, 2019, what kind of stability has existed inside Kashmir. But for that matter, the stability, so-called stability, that the BJP government, backed by an RSS organization, essentially fanatic, right-wing, neo-colonial type of organizations, under their premiership, what kind of situation, not just in Kashmir, but the rest of India? Your package recently about previously about the farmers' protest that they've had to repeal, the fact that there have been so many different types of lynchings inside India against Muslims, the minorities that have been persecuted. So when we talk about in the greater context, it isn't just about Kashmir. It is this particular government, a BJP government backed by the RSS, whose philosophy and background stems from Nazi Germany. It was incorporated and envisioned in the 1920s, around the same time as Germany.
I don't have a lot of time now. I want to squeeze this in, though. I read a report that shows that since 2019, last couple of years, there are more young Kashmiris that are feeling drawn towards armed struggle. My question to you is, what is next for this area?
Kashmir needs to have an impartial probe, and justice needs to be brought to the people of Kashmir. But ultimately, the only solution for the conflict is what the people demand and what is enshrined in the United Nations Charter by the United Nations Security Council. Offer the people the right to self-determination. Right to self-determination is the only way to bring peace to the region and to finally solve this 70-plus year conflict.
Okay. Muzzammil Ayyub, thank you very much for joining us here on the NewsHour. I do appreciate the analysis. Thank you.